are live, Robin.
Excellent. Hello. Welcome in. And am I spotlighted? Excellent. Okay. Here we go. Welcome to day 2, everyone. I'm excited to have you all here. And it sounds like everyone can hear me okay still, even when I switched my mic. Good. Okay. Well, same as yesterday, I'm just going to give everyone a minute to say hello, and make sure that the chat box is working for you. If you would like to know how to use the chat box, that can be nice. So just say hello, let us know maybe where you're joining from, and then we'll be able to see you and know that you're able to communicate with us as we move through this day. I see it working. Excellent. Welcome back, South Carolina, Calgary, Canada, Seattle. Yes, I love Seattle. Okay, welcome in. Good. Well, for those of you that don't know me, who was here yesterday? Stacy, you were here yesterday, I think. Is anyone new today? We are going to we're going to do this the same way that we did yesterday. So this will be interactive. I invite you guys to use that chat box and let us know if you have any questions. Let us know if there's anything that you want coaching on that you'd like to talk about a little bit more. So I'm going to offer my presentation for today, which is going to be on becoming a joy finder. And we're going to talk about how to beg, steal, or borrow a little sunshine when you need it in your life. And then we've got 3 other people here, wonderful coaches here to teach, and I'm going to introduce them as we go. But what I'd like you to do is, if there's something that you want coaching on, just type that in the chat box. And if we're able to answer those questions or coach you right there in the presentation, if we've got some time for that, we'll do that. And if not, we're going to save some time at the end. So that way we will know what are the things that you would like to talk about further, and that'll just be helpful for us to be able to circle back around easily. Does that make sense? Excellent. Anything else I missed, Kristen, as far as just what people need to know?
The only thing I want to add is that if you're someone who enjoys having captions on your screen, those are available today. So if you want to turn them on at the bottom of your screen, if you're on desktop, or inside the 3 dots in the lower right, if you're on mobile, if you tap that, there's a little button with a CC on it, and you can choose show captions or show transcript and follow along on your screen. It's one of my favorite features.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, there are people who some people require those and some people just really like them. So appreciate that. Okay, so that's how this is going to work. Let us know if you want coaching. Let us know, put your questions in the chat. And for those of you that do not know me yet, my name is Robin Kiesler. I'm a life coach. And we are, like I said, this entire Saddleside Leadership Project is really designed to help you guys have support in working through some of those parts of your life, your own humanity, that sometimes can feel a little bit heavy and a little bit hard. And so we want to, inside of this summit, create a space for you to be able to experience deeper levels of connection. Especially as coaches and entrepreneurs, I notice that we oftentimes feel very lonely and disconnected, which is odd. Does anybody else feel that way as coaches? Is it just me? Yeah, isn't that a strange thing? It's like, or even in the helping fields as a paramedic, I notice myself sometimes our health is like the worst, right? It's like this odd thing. And so for so many people that are healers and working in the industry, we oftentimes feel very disconnected. And so many times, as parents, it doesn't matter how many people feel like you're going through your life and you're like, where did the joy go? I had these kids, I got into this marriage, I started coaching, I did this job because it sounded fun, I thought I was going to love it. And then you're in the middle of it and it sucks. And you're like stressed and kind of overwhelmed, and you sort of lose the joy along the journey. And so we really wanted to create a space to be able to support you in your mental health and your emotional health challenges, whatever those are, and to be able to help you create deeper levels of connection and joy. And so joy is what we're talking about today. And if you don't know me yet, like I said, I'm an identity coach. And so a lot of what we talked about yesterday and a lot of what we're going to talk about today is going to really revolve deeply around identity, because it's one of the core solutions that I find to any problem. When we can come back home to the truth of who we really are and connect to that, it allows us to have so much more joy and connection in our relationships. And so we're going to dive into that a little bit today. Does anyone have any questions about how this is going to work? And then I'm going to get started. Okay, beautiful. All right, so today we're talking about becoming a joy finder. We're going to be talking about how to beg, steal, or borrow a little sunshine in your life when you need it, like I said. And I just first want to start with why this matters for me. And I want to invite you, as I share a little bit of this, to just think about in your own life where are the moments where maybe you've had a day like this. And so for me, there was a moment in my life where I decided that I wasn't going to let anything steal my sunshine anymore, ever again, really, right? And I hear a lot of people talking about, I've gotten feedback over the years, about, oh, this is just, toxic positivity, right? And that it's just this conversation around joy in the middle of a hard time, right? There are some people who get prickly about that. Has anyone noticed that? Have you ever had somebody respond like that? Or have you ever felt that way, right? Where it's like, hold on a second, right? Your kid just passed away from their addiction, or you just got fired, you just lost your job, or right, something hard is going on. And so I think sometimes we feel one of two ways: either that joy is not accessible in that moment, like it's just not appropriate, or it's not accessible. How can I possibly feel joy when this is what's happening? And I think the other thing is that we don't know how to. We don't know how to get there, right? It's like that emotion that you're in feels overwhelming. It feels like your life is about, I don't know, maybe this big, and it feels like that thing in your life is like this big, and it's like taking up the whole thing almost, right? And that feeling is so big that there's really not much room for anything else. And what I noticed was that those emotions that I was experiencing, depression, unworthiness, shame, rejection, self-doubt, so many things, they just felt so big. And the moment that everything changed for me was the moment when I got the phone call that my friend Dan Eisen had committed suicide. And what I realized was that I understood. Right? I was like, I fucking get it. Right? And it felt like one of those things that was not too far away from me. Has anyone ever been there? And that moment created a realization for me where I was like, if I don't figure this out, then, right? Like if I don't learn how to find some joy in my life and not let this thing be at the steering wheel, right? Let this thing be what defines me, then I'm not gonna be able to keep up. Right. And actually, I heard there was a song that an old country song that he used to sing a lot by Keith Whitley, and it's called I'm No Stranger to the Rain. And I remember listening to him sing that song many, many times. I'm no stranger to the rain, right? I'm a friend to thunder. Friend, is it any wonder? Lightning strikes me. Does anyone know that song? Yeah. But he said, I'm no stranger to the rain, but there'll always be tomorrow, and I'll beg, steal, or borrow a little sunshine. I'll put this cloud behind me. That's how the man designed me, to ride the wind and dance in a hurricane. And when I heard that, I was like, that's what I want to be able to do. Because I may not always be able to control the rain or the hurricane, right? That stuff might come. But if I can find a way to have joy in the middle of all of that, right? What if I don't need to get rid of that dark thing? Because at the time I didn't know how. And today, Sarah and Wendy, and they're going to be talking to you about some of these obstacles, some of these things that get in the way, and how do we, there will eventually be a time where you can learn to kind of remove that block, right? To work through those things and actually change your emotion. But in the moment, I didn't know how to change it. I didn't know how to get rid of it. So it's like, I may not know what to do with my shame right now. I may not know what to do with that feeling of depression or that sense that I can't shake, that nobody likes me, that I just don't belong, that I'm a weirdo, right? Like all that stuff felt so big and I didn't know how to get rid of it. But I was like, what if I don't need to? What if I don't need to? And I got there eventually, but in the moment, the thing that made the difference is I was like, what if, instead of getting rid of that, what if I can just learn to add joy? What if I can just learn to add? What if I can just learn to grow this part around it and make my life bigger that way? What would that be like? What comes up for you guys there? Does that seem like it would be helpful? Yeah. And so this is kind of what I want to talk about today. I'm going to offer you a few different things, right? But first of all, when we talk about becoming a joy finder and adding joy into your life, right? First of all, I'd love to just spend some time really defining that. What does joy mean for you? Because this is another thing I find. We are so programmed over the years with other people's pictures, other people's stories, their lives, their opinions about what success means, what being a good partner means, what being a good parent means, right? And so it's joy's no different. And so what joy looks like for one person might not actually be your definition of joy. Has anyone ever heard that word and it just kind of feels like a turnoff? It's like, I don't even, what, it's just sort of like rainbows and daisies and unicorn farts. And this is what joy means. And you're like, I'm not anywhere close to that. Right? I'm over here in the trenches. And so if joy is this thing up on a pedestal where we're just laughing and smiling and all having a good time and high vibe, then how the fuck am I going to access that? I can't. I'm not there. And so I believe it's useful to realize that what that person's definition of joy might not be your definition. So what does joy mean to you? If you've got a piece of paper and a pen, I would encourage you just to take a minute and think about, what does joy mean to you? And noticing also that your definition may change as the years go by, right? Your definition for what joy looks like today might be different than what joy looks like when you're going through a layoff. Your definition of joy when you're having to put your dog down might be different than when you think about, what does joy mean for me in this moment? Right? For me, sometimes, because here's my offering to you. And I want to invite you to put in the chat box really quick, and I'll tell you what I think about joy. What do you think when you think about joy and having more joy in your life? What does that mean for you? When we did that early bird bonus class, right? And we talked about this a little bit. That was one of the things that came up, right? Where someone was like, it's kind of nice to realize that joy doesn't have to mean, what was it you said? Like that I don't have to be a puppy, right? It's not like I have to be, it's like, what if joy in this moment for me just means sitting outside on my patio with an iced tea and just watching the wind and the grass and just being at peace? What if that's my version of joy? What if my version of joy right now is just to realize that I'm getting closer to learning how to forgive myself? What if my version of joy right now in this moment is that I just went through a relapse and I'm having compassion for myself? What if my version of joy in the middle of a depression is not about getting rid of the depression, right? What if it's just noticing, you know what? I'm going to hold myself in this space and be kind to myself. Maybe I'm going to turn the lights off and shut the blinds and light a candle. And I'm still going to feel this feeling, but it's one of the things that Chris Hale and I talked about in our podcast interview. I might not be able to do anything about the depression right now, but I can decide, how do I want to go through this? I'm feeling a little lonely right now. What if it was possible to feel lonely and also experience a sense of joy in my life at the same time? And so one of the things, chat box is not scrolling for me. I'm new, teachers too. I think I took joy for happiness, right? I've since learned that joy is something different to me now. Yeah. Someone said joy is being in nature, going to the beach with my kids. Yeah, singing loudly to my music. It's multidimensional, peaceful. Yeah, grounded. Yeah. So for me, here's my thoughts about joy. And then we want to talk about what's getting in the way of them. And so when I think about joy, I think about being fully alive, right? Being fully alive and being fully present with the human experience, whatever it is. And so, again, when I'm going through a hard time, when I'm resisting that experience, it makes it more painful. But when I can just be fully present and say, you know what? Yes, this is grief. This is sadness. This is anger, right? And when I can just be with it and notice that this is the human experience. This is what I signed up for. This is what I came here for. I didn't just come only for the happy parts, quote unquote, right? I want to experience all of it. This is all part of being alive in the human experience. And so when I can be fully alive and fully present in that human experience while being aligned, that's the second part for me. Being aligned with the truth of who I really am. That's when I experience joy, because for me, joy is a byproduct, right? Joy is a byproduct of being alive and aligned and grounded in the truth of who I really am. So when I think about my identity, right? This is my identity triangle that I use so often. Let me make it a little bigger so you can see it. When I think about my identity, I think there are several components to that, right? I'm going to put health here at the bottom because I think that's something that's important. But then I think there's a lot of other pieces, things that we desire, things that are important in our human experience. And I think that sense of worthiness is one of those things. I think that ability to love and be loved is one of those things. And I actually think that joy is a byproduct of being grounded in that identity. When I know the truth of who I really am, when I have learned to love myself and to love others, when I know that I am 100% worthy, it allows me to experience more joy. Because what oftentimes happens is that when we're not anchored in this, we go after other things, right? We go after relationships. We go after, money or success or career, right? Things in our business, whatever it is that we want, we go after those things in order to feel whole, complete, worthy, accepted, accomplished, right? And so we're looking outside of ourselves for those things to give us that identity. And that's what I see as one of the greatest thieves of joy. And so I'm curious, when you think about what joy means for you, take a minute and what comes up for you when you think about those moments where you're not experiencing joy, when you're experiencing stress or worry or fear. What are the things that get in the way of having joy for you? For some people, it might be money problems, relationship conflicts, comparison. Yeah. Maybe the kids moving away, fear, lack of trust. Maybe the business launch didn't go the way you wanted, a mistake you made, someone that offended you, right? Jealousy. Yeah, feeling like I don't belong, feeling rejected. So I would just take a minute to notice most of the time when we think about, money problems or relationship stuff, right? Relationship problems. When we think about, our business launch not going the way we wanted, whatever it might be, a lot of these things, the things that you're not trusting, jealousy even, right? All of this is stuff that's outside of you, right? They're things that are connected to the outside world and to your relationship to that outside world. Can you see that? Who are you not trusting? Yeah, head garbage. And so it's all when you're living outside of here and you're not really grounded into that identity and that truth of who you are. So when you think about the things that get in the way, like I said, I think the first thing is so often that we don't know how oftentimes to resolve those emotional things like lack of trust, jealousy, anger, resentment, whatever those things are. So we have those emotional experiences, right? That little black triangle that's there. And sometimes we don't know how to resolve it. We don't know what to do with it. So I think that's problem one. And I would love to talk more about that and teach you what to do with those things because there are solutions there. But I think that's sometimes the longer way around because that's a whole skill set that you have to learn, right? That I don't really have time to teach you here. But again, one of my favorite shortcuts is knowing that what if I didn't have to? What if those things could still exist and I could just simply come home to who I am, to the truth of who I really am, right? So again, I think problem one is that we don't know how to hold both things. Can I feel joy at the same time that I'm feeling angry or depressed or lonely? Can I open my heart up enough to carry both? And so I will very quickly just show you, this ties in a little bit to what we talked about yesterday, because I think there's a couple of solutions that are worth looking at. But I think the first thing before you look at these that you need to understand is to notice, to be able to catch yourself and notice, what's the problem here? Is the problem that I have this emotional experience? Is the problem that I've gone through this breakup, or that I'm feeling worried about money? Like, is it that I don't know how to allow that experience and to be with it in a loving way? Or is the problem that I'm not grounded in my identity in the first place? Because what so often happens is that people, what I believe is one of the biggest thieves of our joy is this belief that I will be worthy when, right? I will be worthy when. And so what we end up doing, I'm going blurry, aren't I? Just saw
It's
it.
better now. It's all good.
I can just, okay. I was like, I can just turn off that autofocus really quick. When I coach people, especially a lot on business and stuff, is what I find is that they're in this cycle of chasing, right? And so they're in this cycle of chasing something to resolve that emotion. And so what they do is they come out here, right? And they go after this goal, whether it's a business goal, a relationship goal, whatever it might be. And they go after this goal. Again, it's from a deficit motivation, right? There's something wrong. There's something that I'm missing. And so they come out here searching for it. And when you come out here searching for it, right, what happens is that you're really coming from a self-centered behavior, right? Because and it's not, I don't mean it in a bad way, but it's ego-centered, right? It's searching for this solution to self, right? There's this problem that I need to solve. And so even if you attain it down here, what happens is you still come up feeling empty because this never got taken care of. Has anyone ever done that? When I was younger, I did this I did this loop so many times. For years, I did this loop. I hurt, something hurts. Let me go find the answer. I get it. It's still not fixed, right? Drugs, alcohol, sex, addiction, relationships, money, career, right? I became a critical care flight paramedic. I got a degree. I got 2 degrees, all the things. And I got the success and I got the money. And I still felt empty inside. I still did not have joy. And then I was exhausted. And I actually started, because I could not figure out this worthiness piece, I never got to the love of myself and I never got to the joy. And in fact, I ended up destroying my health in the process because I was just stuck in this external loop. That was my biggest thief of joy. That was my biggest thief. I will be worthy when. But if we can come up here and change this from I will to I am worthy. I am loved. I am forgiven. I have forgiven myself for all the stuff. I'm not carrying that shame anymore. I am important. My life has meaning and purpose. I am uniquely designed for that purpose. And so I have to be adequate to fulfill it because nobody else has that purpose that I have. No one. It's mine. Only mine. There's no one that can complete my destiny. And so if I am loved and accepted, if I am worthy, if I have that sense of security, right? I am secure in my own worth. And I know that I am important and that my life has meaning and purpose. That means that I am automatically significant in this divine unfolding. I'm significant in this universe, even in the midst of my depression, even in the midst of my rejection. And so that's one of the most beautiful anchors that I can hold on to no matter what's going on in my life. If I know that I am worthy, all of this can go away. I don't need to do that anymore. Right? I don't need to destroy my health chasing after that because I have that sense of worthiness. I have that sense of secure identity. And when I have that, I'm able to love more fully, to love myself, to love others. And when I have that worthiness and that love, joy becomes inevitable. And it doesn't mean that life has to be perfect or things have to be going well. Because even when those hard days come, I can be anchored in that belief. I can be anchored in that identity. There's no one that can complete my destiny. Yeah, it's mine. And I coach so many women on this feeling of inadequacy. You are adequate. You have to be. There is no other option. When I was literally in the depths of my addiction, living in my car, friendless, homeless, I had burnt all my bridges. I wasn't talking to my family. I was so alone, literally like $0. I slept on top of a dryer one night in Alaska in the middle of the winter because it wasn't coin fed. And so I could turn it on to keep warm in the middle of the night. Like that was my life. My nickname was fucking Robin. Nobody wanted anything to do with me. And yet, even in that moment, all of this was at work. Every single step of it. All of it. In that moment, I was adequate because it was necessary. All of that is building to this moment. And so when people tell me I feel inadequate, it's impossible. It's impossible for you to be inadequate at your own destiny. Can you feel that? Can you sense that? And so when you know whatever's going on in your life that you feel, when I ask you, what's the block to your joy? What's the thing that you think is standing in the way of your joy? When you can come back to this anchor and know that, just remember that the thing that's beautiful is you don't have to get rid of the thing. Because this is your anchor. And when you're anchored in that, you can go after those extra additives. You can still come out here and go after a goal, but you're doing it now from a divine motivation, right? Rather than a deficit motivation. You're doing it because you're full. You're not seeking anything. You're sharing, you're giving, you're literally fulfilling your destiny. And so when you do this, now you have a heart-centered behavior, right? And so when you attain a goal from that place, what you experience is fulfillment. You can do that circle all day long and it'll grow because this is not empty. It's not blocked. It's not jammed up. It's alive. So those additives without the anchor equal emptiness. But when you have the anchor, then you can go after all those additional things in your life and they just completely fill you up. So that's really my first question. So when we think about what does joy mean for me, how do I want to define it, right? And let go of all the definitions of the world and just figure that out for you. What does joy mean for me in this moment? And just ask myself first, the first question is, are you anchored? Because we can look at other causes and other things. There's other stuff, but my first question is, are you anchored? Are you in a deficit motivation loop? Or are you anchored in your true identity? And then you can go from there. And then the next question is, am I allowing myself to have the full human experience? Am I willing to honor these experiences that are asking to be honored? And that's where we come back again to that first triangle that I drew, right? With the darkness in the middle. Can I learn to allow, right? Can I learn to allow this thing to be here, whatever that thing is, that experience, and can I just hold it? But can I hold it with the truth of who I am? Can I wrap it up in love? Can I just wrap it up in love and say, yes, yes, your best friend just died. Of course, your heart is hurting. That doesn't mean that you don't have joy. That doesn't mean that you can't have joy. What does joy look like for you? So that's the next part. This thing doesn't need to have the microphone. It doesn't need to be the thing that defines you. Like I said in the beginning, that pain, because I did not know how to deal with my emotions, it felt like I was the victim, like it was just bowling me over, right? It's another line in that song where it's like when the rain's just pounding a hole in the ground, it's like, if I don't pick my head up, I'm going to drown. Right? And that's what I needed to learn how to do, was to pick my head up. And so that's that second part is, so first, am I anchored in my identity? Do I know the truth of who I am? Am I believing that? That's step one. Step two is, am I willing to say yes to this? Am I willing to say yes to this experience and to know that it doesn't define me? And I can have it sit over here in the corner or just be here and I can be with this. But it doesn't need to take over my life. This is one picture in my album of snapshots, right? This is one picture. This is not my life. This might be what you're going through, but this is not who you are. I want you to really hear that. This might be what you're going through in your life right now, but this is not who you are. So whatever the hurt is, whatever the pain is, whatever the experience is, it doesn't define you. It's just a piece of your life. And so that's when I want to invite you to ask, okay, can I say yes to this? Notice it's here and wrap it up with love. And am I willing to open up my heart so big that it has room to hold that sorrow and this joy all at the same time. The sorrow gets this little space over here. I see you, I acknowledge you. It's all good. And I'm also going to open up my heart so big that at the same time that I'm feeling this grief, this hurt, this anger, at the same time I'm feeling that, my heart is big enough to feel anger and gratitude. My heart is big enough to feel anger and gratitude. It's big enough to feel sorrow and also curiosity, maybe courage, adventure. My heart's big enough that I can feel heartbreak and still go on an adventure. My heart's big enough that I can feel enthusiasm and love, right? So I can add it all in, right? It's like, just add water, baby. Just add some joy. Whatever it is that you're going through, can you just add some joy at the same time? So one of the things that I would invite you to do is to sit down and maybe create a joy journal for yourself and just ask yourself, where is my joy in this moment? And it might be different, but whatever you're going through, where's my joy in this moment? In my business, I'm creating this class. Oh my gosh, it's not ready. I don't know, all the things. And you can feel the stress and you can feel the worry. Okay, you get to be there. I see you stress. I see you worry. I hear you fear. You're good. And where's my joy? Where's my joy in this moment? And you might even sit down and ask yourself, what have been my moments of greatest joy in my life? And can I still access those experiences? Do they still count? But they're not happening right now. But what if they still count? What if there's still joy in your life? What if they don't ever disappear? What if you just get to add more joy? What if you just get to add more and more and more and more? And if you want, you can even do this right now, today. When you're having a hard day, sit down and do that daily prompt. Where were my moments of joy today? I had a rough day at work. What were my moments of joy? And if there weren't any, how can I create one? How can I create one right now? Where's my joy in this moment? Maybe it's going outside with my cat and putting my feet in the grass. It could be something so simple. And that's where I want to invite you to come back to your definition of joy. What is your definition of joy? And what do you want it to look like for you today? Sometimes for me, that's eating a piece of dark chocolate. Whatever you can access, right? Sometimes that's taking a trip. Who's taken a solo trip when you're having a rough time, right? To add some joy into your life. All those things are beautiful, but just notice that they are coming out externally. And that's fine as long as it's an additive. Are you anchored first? Find your anchor, which is your identity. I am worthy. I am loved. I am forgiven. I hold nothing against myself. I am significant. I have meaning and purpose, and I am adequate to fulfill that purpose. And from that place, I will go create more joy in my life. That's what I have for you. Any questions? What do you think, my friends? A bath with candles. Yeah, soft music. I love that one. It's one of my go-tos as well. Okay. Solo trip. Ooh, with the orcas. Yes. I went to the San Juan Islands. Is that where you're going, San Juan Islands? A moon ceremony, kayaking. Oh, British Columbia. That's right. Yeah. Gorgeous. I love it. Okay. Well, my friends, that's what I have for you today. And next up, if you do not have any questions, I would like you to warmly welcome and invite the beautiful Wendy Sloniker. And Wendy, I will let you introduce yourself and your topic, and let me know if you have any questions, and I'll be in the corner.
Robin, well done, Robin. Thank you for kicking off. for inviting me. Hello, everyone. I'm delighted and a half to be here with you. Let's talk about resentment. Um, right? Let's just get right in. My name is Wendy Slonaker. I'm an emergence coach. And if you're wondering what that is, I still kind of am too. It's about 2 weeks old. So far I'm calling it a mashup of grief coaching and support plus life coaching with some like energetic vibe just zipped right in. So far that's it. Really glad. And right, I appreciate our time together, and I would like to dedicate the merit of this effort that we are all sharing together right here, right now. I'd like to dedicate the merit of this effort, whatever is lifted out, transmuted, and transformed with generosity and great care. May this energy be released and be of service to our world. This is growth. And there's stuff that like comes out, comes away, but where does it go? Let's dedicate it back to the earth who knows what to do with it and can make something useful out of it. That's not ours anymore. Thank you. Okay, great. So resentment, here we are. I'm going to talk a little bit about what it is and what it isn't. For a long time, especially when I was in a program of recovery, I was not in touch with what was known as resentment at the time. This was about 2004, and Brene Brown's vulnerability TED Talk had not like hit it, and that didn't happen until 2010. So I had like some tender years just happening. And I thought that, like many, resentment was related to anger. Now, in my home growing up, anger was not safe for me to be in touch with or feel. There was one person who got to be angry, and that was my mom. Okay, got it. And problematic later, but got it. So I was out of touch with a feeling of anger. Of course, this like when it came to a certain step in a program, I was like, okay, well, how am I going to do that if I'm not in touch with anger? There are other feelings that come about. So it is related, and I am going with Brene Brown in her Atlas of the Heart. She defines resentment as hidden envy related to perceived unfairness or injustice. This shit really mucks up the works in our emotional sides. It really, it creates, for me personally, it created a lot of feelings of inadequacy, like Robin had mentioned earlier. And also, I felt like there was something morally wrong with me for having that feeling of envy or jealousy or hurt feelings based on perceived injustice. I felt like morally wrong, bad person. So I want to offer a couple of ideas just sprinkled throughout, take what you like and leave the rest, around having a human experience and allowing for range. We got range in emotions, and our hearts are coming online in a whole new way. We've been trying to work with emotions with our minds. The brain is not broken. It is oftentimes the heart that is broken or in hurt. So we're going to use the heart. We're going to learn to use the heart in order to relieve and release and heal that pain. Okay. So in terms of sprinkling, we got range as a human being, both sides, like contrasting sides. Now, this is all right, except for when you're right in it and you're super feeling it. Number one, ow. Okay. Like the compassion of ow and recognizing that this is real and I'm right in it. And for me, I found myself judging myself for having a human emotion. I didn't know it was optional to go ahead and have the emotion as though it were a mechanism, a signal. The image that comes to mind right now is around a train. And if you've been in a vehicle and you come to like the big arm that comes down in front of the road, that's just a mechanism. We're so close to emotions and we have such big feelings about them because we have not been taught how to feel them in large parts. We can't really identify it as a mechanism. It's personal and painful. So I honor that. And I still want to offer that, hey, that signal is there and it's coming up for some kind of reason. For some kind of reason. Everybody with me on this? Let it just wash over you. You can watch it on a replay. Thank you for the thumbs up and such. A couple of other things that are troublesome around resentment, like what it can offer or bring about, energy drain, thought spirals, like I call it definitely low vibe with a built-in drag. Like we're not going anywhere positive with this, right? Like resentment is, I'm going to get to a few prompts and ways to identify it in our thoughts, and how it might be coming up, but it's also not one of my top 10 feelings. No thanks, ever, but it does come up. Many times resentment is not based in the present moment. I carried around a lot of resentment, turns out, even though I was out of touch with anger. Still had it, still carrying it around, not because I wanted to, but because I didn't know what to do with it. Like, where do I put this? Like, this was not part of the Earth School training so far. What's up? So I just carried it and I would sort of begin to nurture it. And there's where that drag comes in, the built-in drag. It's going further down. It definitely had an impact on my self-concept and how I talk to myself. And it also assisted me in being more reactive and way less responsive. Reactive, like when I got to menopause, I was murdery 24/7. So it was like the feeling of, right? So reaction is not the direction that I personally want to go in. Responsive is. I feel like I'm more present with myself and others. Reaction is definitely available. Also not morally wrong at all. Again, back to like, wow, human being, we have so much gray matter and nerve endings. Like we put it to very good use. Like how we're wired, how we're designed. We are designed to feel. Yes, didn't know what to do with emotions. Yep, except for react, yell, and scream. Yeah, and I don't know about you, but this has been demonstrated. When my parents didn't know what to do, like my mom really told me, I don't want to hear it. And I fully believed her. She was having like super honest in that moment. This was a go to your room until you can come out with a more acceptable behavior or feeling, because I just don't want to hear it. And like now that I'm 53, I kind of get that. And at the time, like as a 7-year-old, what? Like, what? Okay. So we're going into, and this is going to be a little bit more of a granular how to. Please go ahead and like let me know, give me a hands up if you need more information, you want to pause, you want to ask a question. I'm in. Deal? Okay. Yeah. Oh, Kristen, thank you in the chat. As a child devastated, as a parent, I can see it's way better than actually strangling my kid. Yes. Yes. One more for responsive, right? Like, woo. Okay. Okay. So I think we're at the part now where I'm going to go ahead and begin to talk about the going through. I'm in the moment. Strangulation of small littles is not my best work. So I'm going to have some moments here. I'm going to dedicate this when I can, when it's appropriate. And I want you to consider something I call the vent. Yep. Here's the instructions. Let's get petty. Get a paper and pen. Please aim for volume and granular knit and grit. The page can totally handle it. Allow this to be highly sensitive data. There are so many ways of getting rid of this highly sensitive data. I'm going to tell you about my favorite one that a client had. Okay. Because it needs to be highly sensitive, because none of this is going to be seen by another human being. Nobody you work with, nobody you talk to, like no one's going to see it. This is also not going to the Smithsonian, so it doesn't have to be precious. Okay. So like, what we're doing when we allow this experience, our feelings, the story of what happened, what we're doing when we're connecting our pen to paper, we're actually connecting our heart to the paper through the pen. We're jettisoning the resentment out of our bodies and into the space of a page. I really, really recommend handwriting here, connecting that heart with the paper and release. Like this is part one, release. It's a big deal. Like you cannot be petty enough. How often do we give ourselves that kind of permission? Like never. One, we've like, I don't know if you've had a similar experience or something like it, but I got to a point where I knew my mom didn't want to hear it. I figured nobody else wanted to hear it, and I didn't want to hear myself. No thanks. This goes back to worthiness, belonging. So my client's favorite way of getting rid of the highly sensitive data, after a session, she would take whatever we had worked on and she would run it immediately out to her barbecue and flame that shit right up. There are like, this is where your creativity is super, like you're in authority on your creativity too, right? Like, yeah, whatever you need to do, make it a celebration, make it something that moves. I like the fire thing because like, that's just more transformation of energy. Okay. When you are going to town on your resentment in writing, I'm going to ask you to apply and work the vent. That's what this exercise is, to one specific relationship or one life event at a time. Yep. One at a time. Pour it out of your whole being with the most resonant guiding prompts that I will provide. All of this is coming. I actually made a PDF. What? Yes. So when we go back to the resentment of hidden envy related to perceived unfairness or injustice, we are looking outside. We are judging. We have that thing in our brain that's like, are you safe right now? Threat assessment, totally on. So things that may bring about feelings of resentment to help you get in touch could sound like they or it shouldn't have. Like it shouldn't have happened. They shouldn't have said it. It shouldn't have. Like whatever it was should not have happened or been said or not been said. I can't believe this may be hiding some like serious emotional jewels for you. There's never gonna be enough or what I want or like there's never gonna be. Like these are the things that are so golden that you may just be carrying around from a long time ago or like nowish. That's fine too. I love this one. I'm still frustrated by like that thing that happened in high school when they said whatever. I was like a very energetic dancer in freshman year. I went to a prom and I would not get off the dance floor. And then somebody in my math class after that dance was mimicking me, like in my class to the face. And like frustrated, yes, but also so heartbroken was one that came up too. Like they were making fun of me and like they were also like one of the popular kids too. So I just felt a lot of feelings around one, resentment, but also how like real tenderness for that 15-year-old who just liked to get down in a big fancy dress from Sears, right? So getting specific, this is the nature of the specificity. If it's possible to go into more feeling words rather than the story of me feeling that tenderness or heartbreak or being ridiculed in front of a class, and feeling frustrated that I couldn't stand up, I didn't know what to say, I just was there and in shame, right? So the feelings are going to be your key for release here. Everybody doing okay so far here with me? Okay. Okay, really good. Really, really good. I have plenty more. Want to hear them? Okay, here we go. Okay. I'm furious about, like, fury is a lot of energy. Please, let's get into it. On the page, it's like Paige is not taking it personally. Paige is also just a tool. Like, you're not hurting anybody by releasing this out. We have dedicated this energy to go exactly where it needs to go and get done with what it needs doing. There's energy that is needed elsewhere. It doesn't have to look or feel like this. It will change. Also a juicy one. I'm disgusted when or by. Disgust, we got range. Like, this is a human emotion that gets to be normalized. We don't have a whole lot of room, time, or space, or like the appropriateness of like talking about when we're disgusted. I'm scared or mad that this resentment about my ex-husband, my first girlfriend, whatever, has been with me since I feel left out when I'm really worried about. We can go with the basic, super straightforward. I'm envious of, and I'm jealous about. This is a fill in the blank one. I can't, whatever it is, but they can, and I'm pissed that, bleh. It's not fair that. Okay. So in terms of resentment, and I know we've talked about like how to identify it and what to sort of like work through with it. Release to a page is a beautiful thing that makes it real. Other feelings that might come up that may be related are defensiveness, worry, contempt, disdain. Those could be other workshops. However, keep it, like, send out a bolo, like, be on the lookout for. These are rich with energy and emotion. Releasing to a page is one way, the first part. I'd like you to add for each of those prompts, I notice the resentment is located in what specific part of my body as I am thinking about this. It could be in your chest. When I talk about fury, I imagine my heart going up in flames. Like, these images are also a way of using our imaginations for good. Helping us identify, like, where is the tenderness? Let me scan and be close to myself here in this moment. I don't know if you have heard or been coached about how we can abandon ourselves. When we actually look for those parts of our bodies that are flared up or feeling more energy or feeling heavy, this is how we're staying with ourselves. Hey, I matter, my feelings matter enough so that I care where in my body this is going on. Is it ankles? Is it knees? Is it the bowl of your pelvis? Is it your guts? Like, where is it? Noticing it and describing those sensations, just noticing it is part of a melt. Like, we've gone from like rapidly scrabbling out on a paper what it is. We can look at it, we can identify in our bodies, and like that noticing is like, it may not seem very doey, but it's very be, right? Everybody catch me? Less about doing, more about being. Oh, I'm with myself on this. All right. I'm taking my own side on this. I kind of care where it is. And I'm going to be with it. I'm going to be with me. What we're doing here is we're actually exercising the power of gently and generously observing and allowing. If we can allow joy, we can allow resentment. And then we can allow more joy. And then we can like bring in some disgust. Range. This is aliveness. We were born to feel. It's plenty good enough. And even if it may not seem like enough action to be taking, it's actually pretty powerful. Pretty powerful. Lots of space. Give yourself lots of space for it. There are a few other ways that we can go in a little bit deeper if it's applicable or desired. I'm going to save that for you for the handout, which you will all get. I can upload it, no problem. But I really want to talk about in the next sort of like few minutes of our time together, how else to make it really real. Because witnessing, what you've done with the pen to paper has been witnessing yourself being witnessed by somebody that is utterly trustworthy. It could be a coach you already have. It could be a therapist. It could be a spiritual advisor. It could be a friend who knows how to listen. And I'm going to let you know, here's how to ask them to please listen. Being witnessed and saying it all out loud. I think I saw a comment a little bit earlier about saying it out loud. This also makes it real. This also makes it release. So if it's a trusted person in a safe environment, I highly encourage you to ask for their help in supporting you. This is also, I don't know if you all need to like, if this is on your radar, I need to work on receiving more. So like receiving more, like asking for support and then receiving it. Yeah, this is where I struggle and get to practice with safe, trusted people. Safe, trusted people. Here's what I'd like you, here are the words. I'd like you to hear something that is very personal or something tender of mine. Please listen without interrupting me or asking questions or telling me about your experience. I would love this time for you to be a heart with ears and no mouth until I let you know that I'm complete in this reading. That's it. Like, please listen as a heart with ears and no mouth. If you don't have that person, I would like to be that person. I'm going to give you a link to have a 45-minute conversation with me where we can actually melt this shit out. Having the trust to say it out loud with another person who is not going to judge you and who is going to just be with you is a witnessing point of grief as well. This is an unlocking. And the most important person to hear these words is you. So, link is forthcoming. Pages of notes is forthcoming. I call it a walkthrough and not a worksheet because we have enough work and sheets already. Walkthrough is coming. What questions, if any? All are welcome. Well, I finished a little bit early. I would like to thank you just so much. It makes my heart just very full that you're even interested in learning how to melt your own resentments. That does change the world and every freaking relationship that you might have. P.S. Yeah, well done.
I love that. Yay. Thank you so much, Wendy. I love, love, love that. As Kristen said, that walkthrough for you, if you would like to go through that exercise on your own in some private time in a quiet space, right? That walkthrough will be inside the Facebook group for you. So we will get that posted and all the links. Looks like we've got it in the chat right now as well. So you will absolutely have multiple opportunities to go back through and grab that. This replay will also be posted in the Facebook group. So allow this to be your introduction. And if this feels like something that's for you, then know that you're going to have resources to be able to make this your own. Like Wendy said, come up with your own creative ideas, follow your own intuition. How do I want to express this? And let myself really let this out in a way that feels healing to me. And then how do I want to learn to release that in a way that feels healing to me? Do I want to burn it? Do I want to take it on a vacation and leave it somewhere? What do I want to do with this thing? And so just know that all of that will be coming. So in the Facebook group and the email. So you got plenty of support to be able to continue with this work. Thank you so much. And how that's very generous of you, Wendy, to offer a 45-minute session to be able to go through. What an amazing opportunity. If you've never had the chance to work with a coach before, if anyone ever offers you a free coaching session to experience what it could be like to do that work, take it, man. Why not, right? Why not? Okay, so we're getting ready to move into our next phase here. But before we do that, we're going to take a little page out of Laura's suggestion yesterday, and we're going to stand up, move our body a little bit, shake it off. And I want to invite you to do one more thing, because everything that we're talking about today, when we talk about allowing joy, so much of what we're doing here is moving energy. Right? We're moving energy and we're realizing that, wait a second, I'm so much bigger than just my resentment. I'm so much bigger than just this feeling that I have. And something that I would like to invite you to do is to shake out your hands, shake them out, shake them out, shake them out. And then I'd like to invite you to start just kind of rubbing them together, just like this. Rub them together, and you start to feel how it starts to feel a little bit warm in there when you rub your hands together? Yeah, anybody? Okay, now I want you to rub them faster. Faster? Yep. I want you to create some heat. Rub them, rub them, rub them. Can you feel the heat? Go until you feel the heat. It's okay, we're almost done. Go faster, harder. Take a breath, close your eyes, pull your hands apart, and just bring them closer together. Take a breath. Can you feel that ball of energy between your hands? Can you sense that? Some people can almost feel like a little bit of a pressure around it. Just notice that ball of energy in between your hands. You just created that. You created that. You are an energetic being with the ability to create energy and emotion. I invite you to take a breath in and put one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. As you breathe, and just let all that energy, that beautiful energy of light and love that you just created, that fire, let it just go into every part of your body, into your heart, into your belly. As you breathe. And just to realize that you have the power of creation inside of you to create joy. Yeah. Just notice it. That's all. Just know that it's there. We'll teach you how to use it more and more. We're not done yet. But just notice that it's there. That's all. And speaking of the power of creation, yes, it's enough just to notice. Just to notice it. Amber Grauer is going to come on now and talk to you about using that power of creation to build a secure self-worth.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Oh,
can.
awesome. So I am Amber and I like to do slides. So I'm going to share my slides with you. Let me know if you can see them. When right now I should be sharing it. You should be able to see it.
All good. Looks great.
Awesome. Okay, so I am also a life coach and I help women and teachers really feel better now, feeling better no matter what they're going through in life. So today I wanted to talk about how to secure your self-worth. And so much of like yesterday's and today's was about feelings and your emotion and learning how to feel the emotion in your body. But of course, I had to go to our thoughts. I'm going to share a little bit about me. So I'm a mother of 2 kiddos. I have a 15-year-old and a 2-year-old. I have experienced depression most of my life. So that is like one of my deeper shadows. I love human design. I'm a manifesting generator of 5-1. The moon and nature are my things. My shadows have been insecurity, self-doubts, low self-worth, and never feeling good enough. Always feeling the need to hustle. And I'm pretty sure most of you can relate to that as well. So what is self-worth? The dictionary, of course, defines it as a sense of one's values as a human being. It's your self-esteem. I identify and define self-worth as the thoughts that I think about myself, the thoughts I think about my abilities, my capacities, my lovability, my success, and what I deserve out of life. The reason why I like to use the words, the sentences in my head about who I am and what I deserve is because the biggest thing that life coaching has really helped me with, besides feeling my feelings, is really knowing that my thoughts create my feelings. And the thoughts I think about myself are so powerful because they create the feelings that I have inside of my body. So, secure self-worth versus insecure self-worth. When we really get to it, insecure self-worth is when we have conditional self-love. Like Robin was talking about, I will be good enough when, the belief that we are not good enough now. I am only valued when. When we have that security outside of us in our worth, like our value and our worth is outside of us, then our self-esteem and our self-worth, our self-confidence, it fluctuates. It goes up and down, because we're putting our value and our worth outside of us. We're putting it in our relationships, in our friendships, in our successes. I will be worthy when I get that job, when I lose the weight, when I don't have depression anymore and I'm cured of ADHD, right? It's like, I can't be worthy now of who I am. I have to wait until this happens. So that's why the self-worth is insecure, because we can't be okay being who we are. So I work mostly with my clients on, okay, this is where we are now. We're like in this insecure self-worth place. How can I get to secure self-worth? We have to stop putting our self-worth in things outside of us. Even our kids, even our parents, our relationship with our parents, our relationship with the kids. We have to know that we are good enough now. Other people's opinions, right? I spent the majority of my life with insecure self-worth, never feeling good enough. I had 6 sisters, okay? And I was known as Jessica's sister. She was my younger sister. I was known as like, not the popular one. I would, all the thoughts that were outside of me. I was compared to my sisters. I compared myself to my sisters because that's what everybody else did. But of course, in my ego, in my brain, I was never good enough. I was never pretty enough. I was never smart enough. And that constant comparison, of course, I would never be the one, because it's comparing me to people who are not me, who didn't look like me, who didn't sound like me, right? It was always outside of me. And boy, did I care about their opinions about me, right? Like, how do you think about me? How do you see me? Do you like me? Am I doing good enough? What can I work on to help you like me better? It was always about them, their thoughts, their feelings about me, instead of really me learning how to drop into my body to feel how I feel about me. When you make other people responsible for how you feel, right? That's insecure self-worth. When you're like, I can feel better when they feel good with me, right? I said something and I upset my mom, so now she's upset. So I can't feel good enough, even though I express like how I truly feel, because when I truly felt how I felt, it hurt her. So until she's better with me, I can't be good with myself, right? We get in arguments or miscommunications with other people around us, or we have real honest conversations with people and it hurt them. And so now I can't feel okay with my honest conversation because they're hurt. So insecure self-worth is when you make other people responsible for how you feel and you take responsibility for how other people feel. This is like one of the biggest takeaways from life coaching that changed my life, is when I learned that my own thoughts create my feelings towards me and other people. And also their thoughts create their feelings towards themselves and other people. Nothing and no one outside of me created my feelings. At first, I was really mad about this because I was like, wait, what? But it's that thing. It's them. I promise you, it's them who make me feel that way. Right? So at first I was like, wait, this isn't making any sense, you guys. Like, why? Like, whoa. But then I looked at it, I'm like, wait, this is actually so powerful, because I've tried changing them, relationships, past people. It didn't work. They were not for being changed. So if my happiness is actually inside of me, if my self-worth and my value is inside of me with my thoughts, how empowering is that? Right? I don't have to work on changing them and their thoughts, which I already know doesn't work. But I can drop back into me and I can take my brain back with the thoughts that I think. Fitting in the box. This is my favorite phrase lately. Do you ever try fitting in the box? Like be like everybody else? Blend in? I tried fitting in that box for society, my family, religion. They all designed a box for me that I was supposed to fit into. So I went to college, I got married, I had a baby, but then I got divorced. So I went back to college and I got 2 more degrees, got a master's degree, got 2 credentials, trying to hustle and find my self-worth, again, still in all things outside of me. I was a workaholic. I said yes to everything anybody else needed. Of course, not saying yes to myself, but anything anyone else needed. I was never good enough still. Never pretty enough, never thin enough, never smart enough. I was never good enough. My co-parent told me to get back in the box. Just get back in the box, because I came out late in life that I was gay. And he was like, no, get back in the box like you were for your child, your son. Be normal for mine. Get back in the box. And I was like, oh man, how do I get back in that box? Right? So I started dimming myself a little bit, listening to their thoughts about me. And all of this left me with insecure self-worth, because I never measured up to what everybody else thought I should be or who I should be. So for me, fitting in the box kind of looked like this. Go to college, have your hair like blonde or like a natural color, spend a lot of time with your family, be heterosexual, get married, go to college. Prioritize it all. And even in my coaching business, when I first got started, I really wanted to fit in with all the people around me, all the big people that I watched and looked at. I wanted to be like them, because if I was like them, I'd be accepted. But still, that was putting my self-worth again where? Not in my identity square, right? Outside of me. But I so badly, throughout my life, this is like a theme for me, wanting to fit inside of that box. Wanting to be a part of everyone else who's in those boxes, right? But the more you realize, nobody is ever in the same box. Everybody has their own box. Nobody is actually all in one box together celebrating. even though it looks like that to our brain. Our brain wants to tell us that everybody else is in one box together, celebrating themselves and acceptance in connection. But that's not true. There are more people who look like different boxes, but they are not actually all in the same box because, like Robin says, we bring our own destiny. So what does fitting in the box mean to you? You guys can put it in the chat. And I don't think I have access to the chat right now. Oh, that I do. What does it mean for you to fit in the box growing up or even now as an adult, right? For me, now as an adult, I still compare myself to my sisters. They're stay-at-home moms. They have more time with their kids. So my brain is telling me you're not a good enough mom. You don't spend enough time with your kids. It still compares. But I'll teach you a tool to stop the comparison. I'm going to get there to that with you guys. My brain tells me to get married, right? I'm still single, been single off and on for a decade. And my brain keeps telling me, well, when you get married, when you find that person, you'll be worthy. What does it mean? Mainly hiding things, hiding my spirituality, hiding my weaknesses. Yes, and for me, it's like I came out later in life, so I'm still having a hard time coming out and being my authentic self in my sexuality and dating publicly. So that was something that's hard for me, the illusion of safety. Yes. I can do more when I lose the weight, right? It's always win. It's always on the other side of something else. I can wear that bathing suit when, right? I'll be in a relationship when I'm not, when I'm at that certain weight. It was staying married to a toxic person because of religion. Yes, that's another one. Make enough money, get the house, have the kids. Absolutely. I can be free when I'm out of the house. Exactly. We have all of these expectations that society, our family, and religion place on us. All of these conditions that are placed on us that we cannot have self-worth, self-love, self-compassion until. And when we have thoughts like that and self-beliefs like that, we will never feel good enough because we are chasing it, which I know has been a theme today, right? Chasing it. Secure self-worth comes with self-acceptance. We cannot have a secure self-worth or a secure identity without acceptance. But I hope you notice one thing. Do these thoughts still come up for me? Absolutely. Does that mean I don't have a secure self-worth because these thoughts still come up? No, I talk back to myself now. I take back my brain and I talk back to myself. So my brain's still going to whisper these little things, but I say it's like on a radio, you can turn down the volume. After practicing these tools that I'm going to give you, that's what you're able to do. You're able to turn down the volume on those thoughts. So when we spend so much time trying to be something else, someone else, we're rejecting ourselves. And that lowers our belief in ourselves. It lowers our self-confidence, and it puts, again, our self-worth and our self-confidence outside of us. The only way to secure self-worth is through actual acceptance of all the pieces of you that you don't think are good enough yet, and learning that they are exactly enough. And really telling yourself that and working on those thoughts that tell you it's not true. So for me, breaking the mold. I don't always fit in, and now I'm okay with it. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I'm not everybody's shot of whiskey either. All depends on the day. I was a teacher for a decade, and now I'm starting a new business. I'm being a life coach. I'm a single mom, and I love it. I'm not always certain that I'd be able to parent with another human all the time. I like the way I parent. I have bright hair color. I'm overweight. I'm the heaviest I've ever been. And I also love myself more than I ever have. And that's the power of the mind and the thoughts and practicing thoughts on purpose. Breaking the mold for me is also being gay and having depression and standing out. I also have anxiety. All of these things are the parts of me that I've wanted to reject. I didn't want to accept. I wanted to change, wanted to fix. And then I found life coaching that told me, you're not broken. You're actually not a problem to be fixed. You are already inherently worthy exactly as you are without changing anything. And I was like, have you seen all of me? Are you sure? Are you sure? Really? And for a while, like, I doubted it. I questioned it. Like, how can it be that right now I can just be worthy? Like, you just tell me so I can be? And they're like, yes. And I'm going to tell you how. So secure self-worth looks like having unconditional love, unconditional worth, and unconditional value. It's deconstructing all the conditions that have been placed on us. It's deciding on purpose with intention that you are worthy now. And it's learning how to practice thoughts on purpose. It's creating a new mold, and it's accepting yourself on purpose. So when your brain whispers those little thoughts about you, it's learning to be like, oh, brain, that's something we used to do. We don't do that anymore. I'm practicing and accepting myself right now. It's deciding on purpose that you are inherently worthy, as you are, exactly right now, with the weight, in the singleness, in the marriage, in the house, without those accomplished goals, right now. It's also deciding to stop chasing your self-worth outside of you. Stop chasing for that love and acceptance that's outside of you. Stop trying to change people's opinions about you. Because all you need to do is love and accept yourself within you right now. And know that you are inherently worthy right now. So how do we do it? The last few days have been about our feelings, which I am 100% for, and we need to do it because every time I go and see my life coach, I get the same homework. Amber, you're not feeling your feelings. Drop back into your body and feel your feelings. But one thing that I have really loved and learned from life coaching is it teaches you how to have a managed mind, which means it teaches you how to be aware of your thoughts, because your thoughts do create the feelings inside of you. So we all have a bunch of thoughts about ourselves, which it creates a narrative. But now this narrative we have had in our head for like 37 years, right? They're automatic now. And some of those thoughts are no longer serving us. So in the chat, what are some of your automatic thoughts about yourself? Because we all have an inner narrative, and those thoughts become thought beliefs that turn into our subconscious soundtrack. So we have to learn how to talk back to our brain now with new thoughts on purpose and with the intention of being accepted. I smoke cigarettes and talk to myself and my angels, but doesn't make me crazy. It just makes me different. Absolutely. I'm not good enough in 1,000 ways. Yep. I use cannabis and I love Jesus. Let's go. Exactly. I am not smart enough. I don't matter in 1,000 ways. I'm not cool enough. I love that one, right? So many of these things, right? And it always is like, I'm not good enough because, and put in a judgment, put in a self-criticism. But the best thing is okay, so do you know what all those beliefs are? They're just sentences in your head. They're just words. They only get power when we give them power with truly believing them. Talking back to your brain. That's why like my program is called Taking Back Your Brain, because it's taking back your brain and really giving it the love that it needs. Intentional thought creation, deciding on purpose you are worthy over and over again. It's not a one and done thing, but the volume on those thoughts does get turned down. So of course I came from life coach certification with Brooke Castillo, and she taught us the model, which I'm just going to go over real quickly, briefly. We experience something, it's called a circumstance, and it's neutral. It creates a thought. or we have a thought sometimes automatically, and then it creates a feeling, and that feeling makes us take actions, and that creates a result. But our result always comes from our thought. The model, the reason why I love it so much is because it taught me how to take responsibility for my feelings and my thoughts. The model also taught me how to give others space for their thoughts and their feelings and not make it about me. And I also didn't have to take on their emotion. I was not responsible for them. So for me, one of the models that I use is I have sisters. That's neutral. I'm not good enough. Insert any critical judgment of how I'm not, don't measure up to my sister. And so I had a feeling of shame. So what did I do? I am mean to myself. I tell myself I'm not pretty enough, I'm not popular enough, I'm not outgoing enough, and then I overeat. So what's my result? With this thought, I create evidence that I'm not good enough because all I'm doing is being in a negative thought loop. So this is the model. This was taught by Brooke Castillo, but I do something a little bit differently with my models. I put empathy in the model. So there's circumstance. I still have my sisters. So empathy gives you space for your feelings. Your feelings are valid, even with untrue thoughts. Because here's the thing, your thoughts may be untrue. Your thoughts may be telling you, I'm not worthy. And you'll be like, oh, but you are worthy. But you still had the original feeling of shame and guilt. So now we have to create space and empathy that you actually feel rejected. You actually feel insecure. Whatever the feeling is, I created the little space for empathy. So what does that look like? I have sisters. I'm not good enough. I have shame. Now I'm going to talk back to my brain and be like, that's not a helpful thought. But see, I still have this feeling inside my body. That shame is still there because that thought happened. Even if that thought's not true, it still created the feeling inside of me. So now I have to sit with that feeling and I have to process it and be human and be like, of course you have that feeling of shame. Listen to what your brain just said. Of course you feel rejected by that person. Listen to what your brain just said. And that's okay that you feel this way because that's the thought your brain gave you. I no longer judge my feelings. And I no longer make that because I have this feeling, my thought is true. Oh, that is the worst. Don't let your brain do that to you. Just because you have this feeling does not mean your thought is true. You have the thought, you have the feeling because you had the thought, but it doesn't make it true. That was a big aha for me because I'm like, well, if I feel shame and guilt, then I'm wrong. I shouldn't have done this or that shouldn't have. No, you just had a thought and it created that feeling, whether that thought was true or not. We are allowed to feel however it is we feel. And our feelings need to be felt, allowed, and processed, even if they come from untrue thoughts, because now that feeling is in our body. Once that feeling has landed in our body, unfortunately, we get the pleasure of, being the space for it. We have to allow it now. It's like, okay, little passenger, you're here. I'm going to just let you ride out this ride. It doesn't have to mean that it's true. Just checking the chat. Okay, just making sure I don't miss anything. Okay. So these are some journal prompts that I journal or I write down thought downloads. What are your current thoughts about yourself? Write it all out. Do the vent. Like, what do you think about yourself, right? Write it all out. But here's the greatest thing. Now that you know from all of the presenters, we're all telling you the same thing. You are already worthy. You are already enough. So now you get to rewrite your narrative. You get to tell yourself what you want to believe about you. You no longer have to believe that narrative that you've been believing your entire life. You get to change it. I know, but Amber, I've got deeper shadows. I hear you, so do I. So do all the humans. We're on this human journey. I've got depression, I've got anxiety, I've got ADHD. I'm gay and I was raised to believe I'm bad. Right? And it's all real and it's all true. And all of these bring up such strong emotions. And now all our journey is feeling those emotions and knowing that those thoughts aren't true. Yes, you have deeper shadows. But here's the thing, for me, my experience as a human, our deeper shadows are darkest shadows. Those are the part of us that we have spent our entire life trying to change, hide, reject. They are the biggest parts of us that need the greatest love, the greatest acceptance. And when we're willing to go through the feelings of accepting the hardest parts of us, that is when we get secure self-worth. And when we're allowed ourselves the secure self-worth, we can access the joy that Robin talks about, right? When we stop resisting, rejecting, hating these parts of ourselves, we truly learn what unconditional love is for ourselves. We learn what true unconditional acceptance is. When we love ourselves, accept ourselves, our self-worth does not fluctuate anymore. We'll still have our moments, but we'll know that those are just thoughts that come and go. We will be grounded in our real, true belief that we are already worthy. Even with depression, even with anxiety, you can build a secure self-worth and increase your self-confidence with depression, with anxiety, with ADHD, and as a gay human, even in today's climate, because our worth is within us. So the model that I have is I have depression. Something is wrong with me. That's a thought my brain has told me my entire life. Like, just go be happy. What's wrong with you? So I feel shame. What do? I overeat. I talk mean to myself. I tell myself I should be grateful. I should be more thankful for the life that I live. I should just be happy. I should do my house duties. And then I get mad at myself for having depression, for not being able to do all the things I'm telling myself that I should be able to do during a depression down cycle. So what's the result? With this thought, I make myself wrong for having depression. Here's with empathy. It's the same model. I have depression. I have the same thought. Something's wrong with me. I feel shame. Here's the empathy though. This is what makes it all different. I allow the feeling of shame. Of course, I think this thought. Society has told me that if I'm not always happy, not always positive or productive, something is wrong with me. It is so human to feel shame with this thought. Just because I feel shame does not mean that thought is true, though. And the biggest part of secure self-worth is in this moment, in my depression down cycle, when I am laying on the couch, when brushing my teeth is hard. Instead of shitting on myself, which is shitting on yourself, I'm really asking myself, what is it that you actually need? Oh, you need rest. Oh, you need to be loved in this moment. Okay, so let me hold you. Let me be there for you. I am there for myself like I would be my depressed friend. I'm not yelling at my depressed friend to get off the couch and go take care of her kids and do all the list of chores on her wall. I'm saying, how can I help you? What do you need help with today? Oh, you have laundry to do, but it'll be there tomorrow. Let's just wait. Like, what do you actually need? And it's showing up for yourself and really giving yourself what it is that you need. Self-worth is having your own back, showing up for yourself the way you wish other people would show up for you. I think this has been like another one of my major things, right? Because we have all these things we're working on. But being single as long as I've been and wanting so badly to be in a relationship with somebody, I always was like, well, I want somebody else to do this for me. I want somebody else to do that for me. I'd feel so much better when, somebody else had my own back and listened to me about my hard day. No. We have to do that for ourselves. Showing up for ourselves the way we wish other people would. Being kind to myself looks like not beating myself up. Being kind to myself, not shitting on myself. It looks like asking myself, what do you really need now? And honoring my need for more rest when I'm in a depression down cycle. Honoring my need for space when I'm having an anxiety. I haven't really had an anxiety attack, but an anxiety, moment. Giving myself that space and that time away from people. And it's allowing myself to feel sad when I really do feel alone. And knowing that it's okay that I feel sad that I am alone. But it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with being alone and being single. It's knowing to use the word and so much. I have depression and I'm worthy. I'm sad that I'm alone and I'm good enough. That word and will change so many of your self-beliefs. So maintaining a secure self-worth. How do you do it? Having mental and emotional grace and compassion for yourself. Your brain is going to be an asshole. So it's learning to talk back to the asshole and being like, no, dude, we're not doing that anymore. Please be kinder to me. Like, we're working on this. I know that's an old pattern. I know that's an old habit, but we're not doing that anymore. And then being, of course, I'm human. That's why I feel this way. Of course, I have that thought. I'm raised in this society. It's okay that I'm human. I overreacted for something. Of course I did. I'm human and that's okay. And really practicing that okayness with being human and feeling the range of emotions that you're going to feel. And like Wendy said, allowing all the feelings, all the ranges, and being aware of your thoughts. And just really knowing what's going on in your brain. Because joy, which is our topic today, when you've learned that you are worthy, you stop trying to be someone else. You're open to the joy of rediscovering who you are. And you gain inner peace. And to me, there's nothing more joyful than having inner peace and being able to encounter any person or any mental obstacle and knowing I'm going to be okay because I'm actually in control up here. I can feel these feelings. My brain has learned that I have the capacity to feel all of the human range of emotions and still survive. It's hard. It's hard. It's not easy. But I can, and I've actually survived, which kind of has ruined every long love song for me. But I know I will actually make it. When you gain inner peace, you have room for joy. You have room for greater joy. And so my gift to you guys, of course, I'm going to drop in. Being You doesn't have to be scary. It's a free 4-day video training. So I'll give you guys the link in the Facebook group. But I'm going to stop now and see if you guys have any questions for me. I'm going to look at the chat. Yes, I get depressed and I'm happy single and I'm lonely and I matter. All of that. Absolutely. Ruined love song. Yeah. Love songs. I mean, thought work, life coaching has ruined every love song for me because I'm like, no, artist, you'll be fine. I need the summit and I am so thankful for all of you. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Yes. Do you guys have any questions for me as I give the floor back to Robin? I appreciate you guys all being here. And we really do have the power because it starts with us. Okay, Robin, I think I don't see any more questions for me.
All right. Excellent. That was amazing. Thank you so much, Amber.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having me here. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I love this. This has been fun. So one of the things that I will say before we move on to our last presenter for today is just that for those of you that didn't make it yesterday or, or that hopefully you'll be able to come tomorrow, but I just want to mention that, everything that we're talking about, this is all going to work and fit together so beautifully. And so, you really can't put joy in a box, right? Like going back to Amber's presentation there, and same with, connection, and all of this fits together, right? And so everything that we did like yesterday, for example, really talking about, I talked about connecting to your divine self and that identity work and everything that Jess presented on regulating your nervous system when you're feeling really triggered, super powerful. And just all the presentations, Dex and everybody. And then tomorrow, Jen Frey is going to be talking about celebrating and how to celebrate in your life along the journey. And Kristen's going to be talking about, the art of imperfection, that essential art of imperfection and letting go of perfectionism. And of course, I don't want to step on her toes or tell you what she's going to say because she'll tell you better. I don't, know, I haven't seen her presentation exactly, but right. But just how many of us deal with perfectionism? How many of us beat ourselves up? Right? All the time. It has to be perfect and just all that kind of shit. And so that can totally steal your joy. And so this is not, like I said, this is not linear. And so I really want to encourage you, invite you, if you're able to come tomorrow, please do. But if not, definitely go back and check out the replays because all of this is really supporting each other. It's really an integrative approach to how to have more joy, how to have more connection and be able to just move through your life more smoothly. So just wanted to take 1 minute to just kind of mention that. Also, who's having fun? Who's loving this? From today, from yesterday? Isn't this amazing? These reminders are so powerful just to hear over and over again. And that's another thing I'll mention. Again, we talked about like with Wendy's work, the resentment stuff. You can go back and do that more. Everything that Amber talked about, this is not a one and done thing. So find a podcast, find a book. If you want some recommendations, oh my gosh, we can throw out some book lists for you, some podcast recommendations into the Facebook group, but being able to have something to listen to, my podcasts are like my life raft, man, or my life vest. When I'm having a rough day, I've got my go-tos that are favorited. And so being able to have that voice in your head, my clients tell me this all the time. I'm sure all the other coaches have the same thing where they're like, Robin, you have become the voice in my head. You have become, I hear you, you're everywhere. You're in the bathroom with me, you're in the shower, you're in the grocery store. I'm like, it's getting a little weird, but okay. Right. It's like, she's like, I hear you in my head talking about that you are so freaking worthy, that you're beautiful, that you belong, that you have a destiny here. Only you can fulfill it, that you're adequate. You've got this. All those stories, like Amber said, that's just something someone told you one time. You don't have to believe it. Right? Just because the thought's in your head doesn't mean you have to actually believe it. And so just realizing that, right? There's so much. And so there's no way that you can hear these messages too many times. There's no way you can hear them too many times. So that's just a small encouragement I would like to offer for some of you that are really wanting to do this work more deeply. And go for it. And if there's any way that we can help you, obviously you can reach out to any of us, but if you want a podcast or a book list or, any kind of suggestions, there's so much, that we have to offer you. Kristen's dropping links in the comments for you. So go check those out. Being You doesn't have to be scary. Go take that course from Amber. Man, what an amazing offering. Thank you, Amber. I will be taking that course from you. So go check that out. There's so many resources for you. So this journey is just beginning. Okay. Having said that, I'm done. And we're moving on next to Sarah Bond. She's going to be talking about forgiving yourself when you get it wrong. Are you guys ready to let go of some stuff? Who's been carrying some things for way too long? Who has something that you have not forgiven yourself for? Right? Are you ready to let go of it? How would it feel? How would it feel? Can you imagine that? Imagine just letting go of that. Yeah, I want to. All right. So that's Sarah's specialty. She's the forgiveness coach. Take it away, baby.
All right. Can everybody hear me? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you, Robin. All right. And I love, what I love? I love how we're all kind of saying similar things, right? But in such unique ways, because we're all so different. And I swear, none of us collaborated on our presentations. I mean, we knew the theme was going to be joy, but we didn't collaborate and tell each other what we were going to say. And I love just how they all, and you'll see as I get through mine, how they all just match up so beautifully, but in such unique, different ways. And I'm just so blessed to be a part of this group. Hi, I'm Sarah. My forgiveness is my jam. I do love forgiveness. I'm also a general life coach. I coach on all the things. And I also mentor other coaches. And I have a podcast called Forgive Everyone for Everything Every Day Right Away. Super fun title, catches everybody's attention. And my mission is, to help people get to the freedom of forgiveness. So I know that this can be a tough topic for some of you. I know that. I get it. I do. I just want to acknowledge that, and I want to hold space for that. Okay. So I would like to ask if you feel safe to do so, to put in the chat if you think you have done something that is not forgivable. You don't have to say what it is, but if you think you've done something that is not forgivable. Yeah. As you guys everybody's saying yes. I was like, that might take that some time. Robin and I were talking yesterday after day one, after the presenters yesterday, and she mentioned how, just one presentation, one talk, even one sentence in one talk can sometimes be the thing that really hits home and causes a shift in your life. Yesterday at the summit, I felt like kind of the theme was coming home. That's just what I got from it, like coming home to ourselves, home to like a safe space in ourselves. And I will tell you, after that, I had a shift. I had a big shift after yesterday. Anybody else? And I felt like I had truly come home in the sense that I gave myself permission to talk to you today what I really wanted to talk to you about, what I really wanted to say. My talk shifted from kind of like a classroom type teaching on, what forgiveness is, what it isn't, the benefits of forgiveness. And not that those aren't important things, because they are, and it was a good talk. But today, what I really want to do is I want to reframe forgiveness and how we may typically talk and think about it. I want to reframe forgiveness as not something we do because we're supposed to, not something we do so we can feel better. I want to redefine the idea of forgiveness as something we do because we truly accept that nothing has gone wrong. Stay with me. Stay with me. Because here's what I want to tell you. Nothing has gone wrong because you needed to do that in order to learn something from it. You needed to do that exact thing in order to learn the lesson you needed to learn. And I think, I'm not talking about learning, the lesson of like, oh, I should have automated my emails sooner, or oops, I should have paid my quarterly taxes. It's that's not the kind of lesson I'm talking about. I'm talking about the lessons that we learn from soul-crushing pain. Pain so bad you think you should never love or be loved again. Pain so bad you think you no longer deserve to be on this earth. You guys know what I'm talking about. If we go in with this new idea of forgiveness, recognizing that nothing has gone wrong, this does not mean we don't experience pain and emotions. And in fact, it means the exact opposite. Here's why it's so important. Why nothing has gone wrong, because that pain you feel, that anger, you feel, that betrayal you feel, that shame you feel, that guilt you feel, that resentment you feel, that insecurity you feel, you need to know what that feels like. You know why? Why you need to know what that feels like is because if you didn't, you wouldn't know the opposite. I believe every one of us goes through exactly what we need to go through to learn what the opposite of the pain is. Because remember, we don't have the light without the dark. We don't know good without evil. We don't know appreciation without shame. We don't know love without fear. We don't know joy without anguish, the soul crushing anguish. And I know you know what I'm talking about. I know you know what that pain feels like. It's hard to hear, but we have to hurt people. We have to lie to people. We have to cheat on people. We have to abandon people in order to learn the lesson we need to learn. And we have to be hurt and lied to and cheated on and abandoned to bring up other lessons that we need to learn. It's how we learn. It's how we know. So that we learn and know how to add more love to the world. Because through those experiences, we now know what love is and what love is not. And you don't learn that from a movie or a song. You don't learn it because somebody tells you about it. You learn it by living it. You learn it by experiencing it. Right? The reason certain movies or songs move us is because we've experienced it. We know what that feels like. And I'm not saying like we shouldn't purposefully seek out harmful experiences, things we know aren't safe. But sometimes we end up in harmful experiences, don't we? Not because we wanted them or asked for them. You might be thinking at this point, like, okay, I get it. I have to experience pain to know joy. Right? Like, we probably all kind of get that. But why that pain? Couldn't I have experienced a different kind of pain? Can I have her pain instead? That's what I used to do. Can I please just go back to her was me, like the past version of me? Can I just go back to being her before I did that thing? Mm-mm. The only way that you're going to learn what love is by going through your specific pain. You wouldn't learn it by going through someone else's pain or a different kind of pain. It has to be yours. It is unique to you. And love is the reason, ultimately. Every heartbreak, betrayal, infidelity, abandonment, sabotage, they're all meant to teach us how to love. That's why we're here. We are here to feel these things. We are here to have these emotions. We are here to have these things happen in our lives, by us, to us, around us, so we learn what love is. Every awful thing you've ever done, every awful thing that has ever been done to you has been to teach you what the opposite of love is, so you know what love is. And I know some of you might be thinking, but Sarah, I know what love is. I don't want any more pain. I've learned the lesson. No more lessons, please. It's not the way it works. You don't know all of it yet. You're not done learning. Every moment of pain is an opportunity. And if you're still in pain, there's more to learn. And guess what? We don't stop learning. There's no destination this side of heaven. Our literal purpose on this earth is to learn how to love, and we will spend our entire lifetime learning it. I want to share with you the power of this work and how it can shift from one moment to the next. If you had asked me just a couple days ago if I could trade out my painful experiences for different ones in order to learn my lesson, I would have said, yes, please sign me up. I would have said, I want to be the first in line when someone invents the time machine that allows me to go back and change the past. Anybody else? But then I realized something. And I truly know this in my bones now. The peace that I feel now today, the freedom around the things that I've done and the things that I've gone through, the love that I feel for myself now, it would not exist without those exact experiences. And now that I have learned the lesson from them and I have found this level of love, of peace, I would never go back and try to change it. I can honestly sit here today and tell you I wouldn't change a single thing. And to take it even further, I would do it all over again. I would do it all over again to be here today, to have learned what I've learned up till this point, to be able to talk to you about this today. I would do it all again. And I would not have said that 2 days ago. The lessons I learned were the only way I was going to learn it. Until yesterday, I would have told you, no. I'm sure that if this was my purpose in life, to be here talking to you today, I could have gotten here in some other way, some much less painful way, thanks. I would have argued with what I'm telling you right now, up until yesterday. But now I know that's not true. I wouldn't have. I had to go through that. I had to do those things. And it sucked. I won't lie, it sucked. But because of what I now know, because of how I feel now, because of how I treat myself now, because of what I'm able to bring to you today now, I would do it all over again. Speaking of joy, I see joy now as it's got some different flavors. It's got many flavors. Sometimes it's spicy, sometimes it's sweet, sometimes it looks like dancing, right? But not all the time. Sometimes it looks like just loving myself when I'm in anguish. Just that's what joy can look like. Just loving myself. I would go through that shit all over again, because I can honestly tell you that this joy that I know now, I wouldn't have gotten here without that experience. And it feels like freedom. Freedom from arguing with the past. Wish I hadn't done that. I wish they hadn't done that. It's freedom from arguing with that past. It's freedom from resisting the pain. I wouldn't have gotten here today without hurting people. I wouldn't have gotten here without screwing up and making mistakes. I wouldn't have gotten here without hurting myself. I wouldn't have gotten here without getting hurt by other people. And this joy that I feel now, I wouldn't trade it for anything. I wouldn't trade it for any other experience. This was the way I was meant to learn this lesson, and yours is the way you're meant to learn yours. And the lesson is to learn how to fucking love yourself. All of you, but all the parts of you. Learning to truly love yourself is a lesson that must be taught through pain. You got to get this. We cannot know what love is without its opposites. You know, I thought that I loved myself enough. If you'd asked me a year ago, do you love yourself? Yeah, I do. And then life handed me a particular lesson. And what I learned was I was just at a certain level. And because of the pain from this lesson, this particular lesson, took it to another level I didn't even know existed. I didn't even know it existed. And I know some of you are thinking that you can't do that. You can't love yourself at that level because what you did was too ugly. It's too bad. Or what someone else did to you was too ugly. That's a lie. No matter what you've done, no matter what has happened in the past, nothing has gone wrong here, my friends. And I know that can be hard to swallow. I know that can be hard to believe or accept, especially when we think something is not forgivable. I know it's hard. But hear me when I tell you that it happened the way it was supposed to. It couldn't be any other way. You know, whenever we stretch ourselves, whenever we step outside of our comfort zones, what happens? Something comes up, right? Something comes up and we feel stuff. And then we do stuff. Stuff happens. And it's not all pretty. And this is life. This is what life is about. So if it's something you did in the past and you stopped doing it, you learn the lesson. Hey, that's not what I want to be doing, or that's not how I want to treat myself, or that's not how I want to be treated. You had to experience what love wasn't to learn that. If you're still doing certain something and you're in pain, maybe you just haven't learned the lesson yet. That's all. We all have more to learn. There's layers, right? Just when we think we learned a hard lesson and we know what there is to know, here comes the next lesson. But what happens when we fight this pain? What happens when we fight these lessons? When we get stuck there, right? Anybody stuck right now? You know, I experience heavy emotions on a regular basis. But I will tell you, and this is the God's honest truth, I have immense joy in the midst of pain. And it is because of this acceptance that I'm talking to you about today. I know that I'm not done learning, but I am in for whatever pain life has to offer me, even the worst imaginable. You know why? Because I know I can handle it. Because I am safe here. I am safe here in my body, and I am safe here. I am safe here in my head. I am safe within myself. That was my lesson. Acceptance of me, of this human experience. Forgiveness, easy, natural from this place. Accepting that nothing has gone wrong. Accepting the emotions that come with it. Accepting the lessons that we are here to learn. Finding that love, that's forgiveness. Forgiveness, I also is synonymous with love. And when we're in love, we stop hurting ourselves and other people. We don't stay in that pain. We still feel it, but we don't stay stuck there. We keep going. I know that maybe that we went kind of deep in that for some of you today, and it may be challenging for some of you to hear, but I hope that it's something any of us said yesterday, today, tomorrow causes a big shift for you, and that shift opens your heart to loving all the parts of you. So you're worth it, and you matter. That's what I got for you folks. And I want to thank Robin. Robin, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for bringing this family together, for making this a home for us, for me. This amazing group of people, also unique, so many opportunities for different people, you know, to offer something new, you know, and for all of us to take what resonates, you know, whether it's from me or from Robin or Dex and Laura and Jessica from yesterday, Amber and Wendy, Jen, Sade, Gretchen, Kristen, or tomorrow. Robin, thank you. Thank you for bringing us together. I have wanted to talk about this topic in this way for a long time. And I was scared.
Yes. You should have been. That was fucking powerful.
I was scared. Yeah. And I was also not fully in belief of it yet.
Yeah, that's the difference.
But yeah, but this summit yesterday, it solidified my belief and it took away my fear. So thank you.
Yeah. I'm so glad because the world needed that, Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you just nailed it. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you. I like had something in mind for closing, and I almost don't even know if I want to go there now because that was just so freaking powerful. That was amazing.
Thank you. I'm just checking the chat. I don't see any questions. Anybody let me know if you had a question. Otherwise,
She said that was so good I almost turned it off a couple times. Oh, I love it. It's scary sometimes to say stuff like that, right? Kristen said, my life is permanently different because of that session, Sarah. I am not exaggerating.
mine too.
Yeah. That's it. That's it. And it's like, that's the power of all of this is it's like when we, like you said, it's like, you can't deliver a message like that until you own it, until you
Yeah.
fully believe it. You can't half-ass something like that. You've got to be standing in your identity, your full knowing. But when you have that full knowing behind you, nothing else matters because you feel the belief of that. And it's like you have to share that. You
Yeah.
have to. And those are the moments where who could feel her power? Who could feel her power? Yes, you can feel it. And that's what changes people's lives because they believe you, Sarah. I believe you. And that gives
I
me
believe me.
that gives me the courage to go find the nooks and crannies of my life where I haven't carried in that love, that I've
Mm.
still been hiding, that I've still been
Mhm.
shaming, like, because that's a scary thing to do. But when I hear you speak about that, it gives me the courage to want to go find it. Does that feel
Thank you, my friend.
applicable to anyone else? Like, does any, like, right? It's like, I am inspired to go and do this work deeper because of you.
Mm.
That's what it does.
Thank you.
Powerful. Sarah, I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, now I'm so shaken up by that. I'm like, what do we want to do now? Do I want to? Let's just open up the floor. Who has any, does anyone have, what has been your experience of today? What has been your experience of today? What were your key takeaways that meant something to you or that felt meaningful?
Robin, is it okay if I share something aloud?
Yes. And anyone, you feel free to unmute yourself and we can just chat. That's fine.
Okay, I was actually just starting to type this in the chat before you asked the question, but I was just saying I'm really glad that I like had a job to do because otherwise I think I would have bailed on Sarah's session once it started to hit, and I needed it so bad. And like just the perfection of this whole experience of the way it brought us together, I was not expecting that I needed that session, and the infrastructure around it gave me just the most incredible life-changing gift. And thank you, Sarah, for that. And thank you, Robin, for, as she said, bringing this beautiful community, this beautiful family together, because I'm different, and under different circumstances, I don't think I would have accepted that gift. So thank you both.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. This has for sure been a team effort. I would have not been able to do this without everyone. There's just no way. And that was part of why I wanted so much diversity, right? Because you can feel that. It's like there's just there's some things that we can't do alone. I loved how all of that really just so reinforced this idea of joy that we talked about today, right? Like I love, like you said, Sarah, it's like joy does not always look, whose experience of joy is different, or is it the same? Did you already have that kind of broader view? Because for me, I always thought about joy as like this happy-go-lucky feeling. But what if joy can be more grounded than that? Does that resonate for anyone else? That's what I loved, is like, what if joy is so much bigger than just feeling happy, right?
And I think you hit it on the head when you said joy is being alive.
Being alive. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think that's like, before I used to think that joy was just, the essence of happiness, but like a pure essence of happiness. But I'm like, what if it's just being alive and feeling it all?
Yes.
And that's what actually gives us access to the joy.
Yeah.
So that was so powerful.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Sarah said, like I can feel joy in the middle of intense pain. right? Because it's like, because that's, I'm so connected to the truth of who I am. And when I realize that this pain is, it's bringing me closer home to myself, right? It's like, this, I'm literally, and it was actually like something Kristen said in our podcast interview, right? When I realized that like each of these experiences is an opportunity for me to come closer to myself, to come home to myself, to learn to know myself deeper. And when I realized that this grief, this pain, this trigger, I feel lonely, I feel rejected, I feel like I don't belong, all of it, like, as I was standing outside before coming into this interview, I was like, I don't know, like, all the things I'm feeling, and I'm noticing, like, wait, each of these experiences is a facilitator of joy, right? Because each of these experiences is allowing me to grow and to come home to myself and to love myself and to become more confident and to learn a new skill and whatever it might be, right? There's just so much to it. So one of the things that I did for you, and I will go ahead and play this video, is as we were going through this whole podcast series, one of the questions that I asked many of the people that came onto the podcast was this question about what is your moment of greatest joy? And so I put together a video. Would you guys like to see their answers? Does that sound like a fun way to end today? To see how vibrant joy can be? It's so much bigger. It might be a small thing. It might be a huge thing. You guys want to see the video? Okay, let's do it.
I'm going to go with the one that like really jumped into my head. So as I started off my entrepreneur path, I created a men's support group because they have the highest suicide rate. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to help the guys out. And so a bunch of men came together to talk about their feelings. And the group was called Men's Feelings Matter. I ran it for 2.5 years. And it was the night, I think we were probably about 6 to 9 months into it. And it was the night that one of my members turned around and was, as I call them, a mental health lighthouse to someone else. He was courageously vulnerable. He shared his story of one of his scar stories, something he had already healed from, that we had actually worked on together through coaching. But he shared that in the group because another guy was struggling with something very similar. And this was someone that was not going to talk about mental health with anybody, and definitely not himself. And all of a sudden here he was opening up and sharing, and it had a profound impact on the other person. Like all of a sudden they saw like, oh my gosh, someone else, like they bonded, like, okay, you get me, you heard me, you saw me, you understand this, and here's hope on where I can go with this. And having that breakthrough moment with that person who before saw mental health as a stigma and now was sharing it. I mean, yes, we were inside of a very sacred, safe container, but oh my gosh, I just felt my soul burst that day. And I cried for about an hour after that call because I was like, I did it. I did it. I got, even if it's just one person at a time that we help, it has that ripple effect. And that's exactly what happened that day. And I was like, this is what I do. This is why I'm in this, is to help people like this.
One that really stands out to me happened just about a year ago. It was almost exactly a year ago. In like mid to late May and early June, I went to Europe by myself for the first time. I went for a writing retreat, and I had spent a long time in my life thinking that I was not the kind of person who goes to Europe or goes and does these things, because that was for other people, not me. So just the fact that I was like going to have this experience was fucking huge, because it was a real shift from the identity that I had believed was mine for a very long time. But during the course of the trip, this phrase popped into my head, and it just filled me with this like warmth and light. And I've used it a lot ever since. And the phrase was, I'm in a perpetual state of meeting myself for the first time. And just saying that to you, like my eyes are filling up, like, but the realization that I am in a perpetual state of meeting myself for the first time. And that every single thing I do, every person I meet, every conversation I have is all a chance for me to meet another part of myself. And there's nothing wrong with me. And that like I'm not like permanently broken or something. Like it just hit so hard in that moment. And like it was just, it was amazing. And so I think that's my pick.
Wow, that is such a good question. I think for me, what I've come to realize is that the greatest moments of joy are actually the little small moments. Like, I'll cry. My youngest, called me last night, and knowing what he is willing to share with me shows me how much he trusts me. And so it seems like a small thing from the outside, but just a little 15-minute conversation about what's going on in his heart, like really showing me who he is. Yeah. Huge. Right. And it's not something I would put on a goal sheet, but it's something that as it's happening just makes me fall so deeply in love with the moment.
Yeah.
I think my greatest joy has been seeing what I can do, what I can create, the balance that I can create in work, in my relationships, in really tuning into my own wisdom and then learning how to share that wisdom.
Oh, my moment of greatest joy was when I finally realized that I didn't have PTSD anymore and I could look people in the eye. I had a really hard time with eye contact for a long time and I didn't know what it was. I just thought there was something wrong with me.
Yeah.
I finally figured out I had a lot of trauma, and doing the work that I did, I finally released it in relational work with someone and was able to start looking people in the eye and really enjoying deep connection with other people when I had been very terrified of others before. So not feeling like people are a threat anymore and being able to do that was a really big joy. Thanks.
They're happening all the time, honestly. Like sometimes I'll find myself like I'll have been hypnotized by some challenge or something I can't control, and I'll wake up in like, oh my gosh, this is exactly the perfect cup of oolong tea. Oh, this pen is writing so great right now. I am like fully loving it. Strawberry season, I can't wait. So like these moments of waking up in my life where the moments are tremendous and vital and loving. I don't always love them, but like these are like moments and acknowledgments as well where, oh my gosh, it feels amazing to be alive. And I feel alive.
Oh, we're not hearing you, but we want to. We're all so happy. That was gorgeous.
Well, can you hear me now?
We can hear you now. If we can hear you over our tears, yes.
Yes. Beautiful. Well, that is what I have for you all today. I just wanted to end with that, just realizing that we get to reframe joy. What does joy mean to you? Coming back to the beginning, right? What does joy mean to you? Because if you can choose what joy means to you, then you can have it every day, every moment, right? So I would just invite you guys as you hop off this summit and move on with your day at some point, maybe even take a minute to think about that or write it down, do a journal session if that works for you. What have been your moments of greatest joy? What are they today? And when life gets hard, ask yourself that question. Where is my joy in this? Where is my joy in this? And if I can't find it, how could I potentially create it? How could I find it? I love you all very much. Thank you for the time, the effort, and the love that you put into creating this. Yes, I'm grateful to have found this summit. I feel seen in the shadows that have been coming up for me, and that in itself is a relief. Yes. I love you all. We will see you tomorrow. Don't miss it. We've got some amazing things coming. We're not done yet.